So this is regarding the knowledge of the Imams. How do we properly express the extent of knowledge our Imams have, especially when speaking to non-Shia Muslims, without understatement on the one hand, and without verbally equating it to the absolute knowledge of Allah on the other hand? For instance, when we use verse 659 to demonstrate the extent of ilm al-kitab, how do we verbally draw the borderline? What is the relationship between the absolute knowledge and what is the book?
Yes. Thank you very much. First of all, you should have a strategy about what to discuss with non-Shia and what to discuss with non-Muslims. So it's not that everything that we believe as Shia or as Muslims we need to discuss, because many of these things are secondary issues and they need preparation, they need foundations. So it would not be wise to involve other people in the issues that cannot be properly understood unless they have already gone through some preparation and they have already accepted some foundations. So you have to be ready to answer if you are asked about it, but you should not initiate discussion about this type of issues by yourself. And even when they ask you, you have to find out how much you need to get into it. Maybe you can just give them a very general answer, a very diplomatic answer. So be very wise and practical, and you should be in control of what you discuss. Do not let anything excite you or force you to talk about these issues. It's very, very important. A wise speaker, a wise scholar knows what to say, when to say, how much to say, to whom to say. Don't, just go by chance. Okay. But for your own understanding, and if in case that's a good time to discuss this issue, so we believe that Imams alayhimus salam, they know whatever they need to know so that they can be our guide and role model. There is no doubt about this. They know whatever they need to know so that they can be our guide and role models. It's very easy to prove this, because without having this knowledge, then the point is not achieved. What is the point? What was the gharaz, the purpose? The purpose of providing us with guides, infallible guides, is to help us with understanding and with being given role models. So if they don't know themselves, then how can we be asked to follow them? How can we be asked to learn from them? Okay, so this much they definitely know. On top of that, we understand from the Quran that they are also shaheed or shahid. They are witnesses. So not only they know what they should teach us, but also they know whatever we do or believe or intend. Because this is a task. On the day of judgment, they have to bear witness before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about whatever people of their generation have done or believed or intended. And this is very easily understandable from the Quran. And one of the things that these witnesses have is they have ilmul kitab. Also, because these are purified and mutahhar, they have also access to the hidden book. إنه لقرآن كريم في كتاب مكنون لا يمسه إلا المطهر. So whether from كفى بالله شهيدا بيني وبينكم ومن عنده علم الكتاب, or إنه لقرآن كريم في كتاب مكنون لا يمسه إلا المطهرون, put next to the ayah 33 of 33, إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. You can argue that they have access to the hidden book and they have the knowledge of the book. So this is a very high position, because even having some knowledge of the book was giving that person, for example, Asif ibn Barkhia, the ability to bring the throne of the Queen of Saba immediately to the Prophet Sulaiman. So then imagine if someone has ilm al-kitab, not just ilmun min al-kitab. So you can argue from these two verses, these two types of verses. Also, you can argue from the verses about ilmul ghaib, that although ilmul ghaib belongs to Allah in the first place, but He can disclose it to some people that He is pleased with them. So you can argue from that also. The main thing is the part related to the guidance and being role model. That's the most important thing. Anything that you need to know about the Quran, about Islamic Sharia, about how to move towards your perfection is certainly known to the Imams in a way which is not mixed with illusion or confusion or forgetfulness. They have a sound, reliable, and true understanding, and true presentation, and true practice. This is very easy to establish, and apart from that, or going to many details is not needed, although you have to be able to argue if needed.
The next question that we have here is the following. So this is about resurrection over reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
How do you rationally prove that resurrection and not reincarnation is the future of our soul after death? As one could also apply arguments related to God's wisdom and justice to argue in favor of reincarnation. For example, the concept of karma affecting your new incarnation, or continuity of soul in various forms, let's say until it reaches a certain level when it's ready for heaven. So how do you rationally prove that it should be resurrection rather than incarnation?
Yeah. Muslim philosophers have argued rationally against reincarnation or tanasukh. If you look at the books of Ibn Sina, for example, he argues against naskh and raskh and faskh, and says all of them, whether it be reincarnation by going back to a human being or to an animal or to a bird, they're all refuted. First of all, those who say reincarnation, they have to prove that this is the way that resurrection, which is spoken about in the scripture, is about. They have to have also argument. But why we believe in resurrection, not in reincarnation, we have dalil al-naqli and we have dalil al-aqli. Dalil al-naqli is all so many verses in the Quran and also in the Bible. If someone is interested in Christianity or Judaism, so many verses in these scriptures that talk about another world. Talks about day of judgment, about resurrection, about hell and heaven. So it's not something against Islam only, it's against all Abrahamic religions if you talk about reincarnation. But even if someone is interested only in rational or intellectual argument, so there are different arguments, but one argument against reincarnation is that when something reaches a certain level of perfection and certain level of actuality or fi'liyah, then going back again to the state of potentiality is not possible. When we are born, say, for example, for the first time, when we are born for the first time, so I'm not saying reincarnation, for example, is right or wrong. I say, suppose when a person is born for the first time, for us, always it's the first time. For them, when they are talking about the first life, when we are born, we have lots of potentials. Our knowledge, our moral character, our habits, our experiences are all to be gained. over years, you make these potentials into actuality. Then, going back to the state of birth, to the zero, for example, almost zero state, is not possible. You cannot, go high and then start from zero. It's not possible. Whatever you gain in your life remains with you for the rest of your existence. You cannot get rid of that. If it is good, it will remain with you. If it is bad, it would remain with you. We are not going through lots of experiences and then lose it and start again from zero. If you say, no, we don't start from zero, we are already coming in the second life with a package, then this is not our experience. Whenever we are born or we have a child born into our family, we don't feel that this person is a mature 40, 60 years old person who is just born. We feel this child is fresh, is somehow, empty. Somehow, I'm not saying 100%. I'm not talking about those things which are potential. I'm not talking about fitra. I'm talking about experiences and the things that you gain over time in your life. You don't find this child has this. You find this child based on the tarbiyah and his own efforts can become a very good person or a very bad person. It's not that it's already fixed and decided. So reincarnation is a good idea for saying that this world is not the only world. But it's not the best idea. So those who didn't have the guidance of the prophets or were not, able to keep it and preserve it, they realized that there must be something else. But because they didn't have idea of the resurrection and hell and heaven, then they thought, okay, we go back to this world. But the best is, yes, we are not finishing by death, but we are not going to come back again to this world. No, we are going to have another life which is much, much greater. This dunya is not capable of showing full justice. Even if you come back to this dunya tens of times, you will not be able to see full justice in this world. We need another world without limitations and without restrictions, in which people can see the absolute justice. Anyway, if you are more interested, there are lots of discussions about reincarnation in our philosophical books.
I'm just having a small technical problem to find the next question.
Yes.
Alright, so here we go. The next question is about Allah, between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the abd.
Mm-hmm.
So how does a servant of God know if Allah is pleased with him? How is the love of God for servants expressed to them? There's the ayah in the Quran here is فَسَوْفَ يَأْتِي اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ يُحِبُّونَهُ يحبهم ويحبونه أذلة على المؤمنين عزة على الكافرين يجاهدون في سبيل الله ولا يخافون لومة لائم. I don't know if there's a continuation to this question, if we can scroll down. Okay, so this is the translation of the verse. Allah will bring a people whom He will love and they will love Him, humble towards the believers, stern towards the disbelievers, fighting / striving in the way of Allah, and never fear of the blame of the blamers.
Yeah, this is a very important question. Thank you for asking this question. For a believer, this would be perhaps the most important question, or at least one of the most important, whether I am loved by Allah or not, whether Allah is pleased with me or not. It's a very important question. The answer is one of the two. I can right now think of two ways to understand whether we are pleasing to Allah, whether we are loved by Allah or not. Maybe there are other answers, but right now I can think of two. First, look at your own heart and see, do you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not? If you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a real love, a sincere love, a love that would not let you disobey Him, a love that will not let you have any rest without thinking of Him, a love that makes you restless when you think that you have done something that has made Him unhappy. If you have such love in your heart for Him, then certainly He also loves you. So if you want to check whether He loves you or not, look at your heart. Allah is not like some people that we may love them and they don't love us. Even they may not know that we love them, or they may not bother we love them. Allah is not like that. It's impossible to love Him and then He would not love you. But you have just to make sure that you have sincere love, true love. And sincere love is the one that, as I said, has few signs. You will never be able to disobey Him. You will never be able to enjoy your life without having Him, let alone with making Him angry with you. It's impossible. A lover does his best to make the beloved happy. Even sometimes may, flatter, may do things just to show off. Not show off to people, but show off to the beloved. Because you want to draw the attention of the beloved to you. So you do your best to draw the attention of the beloved to you. It's impossible for a true lover to do something against the will of the beloved. It's impossible. Because even when you do your best, you are still worried, have I done enough? Because I know there are many people who love my beloved much better than me. So there's no chance for me if I, am dishonest with my beloved. So if there is such love for you in your heart, in Allah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then inshallah He loves you. This is one way to establish His love for you. The second is, look at mu'mineen. If good people, maybe also some bad people, but not only bad people. A mu'min can be loved also by bad people, but not only bad people. So if good people, and perhaps bad people also, all love you, then this is also a sign that you are loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when Allah loves someone, Allah makes in the heart of people a place for that person. People would love a person who is loved by Allah. And also, as we have in Misbah al-Sharia, Al-Mahbubu fillah, Habibullah. When people love you for the sake of Allah, then you are loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if you act in the way that people in family, friends, community, at work, they find you a man of God or a woman of God, a man or woman of piety and integrity and light, they have good opinion about you, inshallah, this is a sign that Allah is also pleased with you. So these are two things that I can mention right now. Maybe there are more, but at the moment these come to my mind as two reliable ways of understanding whether Allah loves you or not.
The next question and the last question for today's session is regarding the infallibility of prophets with respect to oppression of oneself. So one of the requirements of prophethood is to refrain from oppression, including oppression towards oneself, zulm al-nafs. In the Quran, specifically chapter 28 of Surah Al-Qasas, verse 16, we see that Prophet Musa alayhi salam asked for forgiveness because he wronged himself. قال رب إني ظلمت نفسي فاغفر لي فغفر له إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. He said, my Lord, indeed I have wronged myself, so forgive me. And he forgave him. Indeed he is the forgiving, the merciful. How do we explain this? How do we believe, also how do we believe that a prophet should be infallible? Well, this answer has been answered before in thorough detail, but I'll just state it. Do we believe that a prophet should be infallible before he is appointed as a prophet? If yes, is this for all prophets or just for Prophet Muhammad? I guess we can focus on the question of how to explain the verse regarding Musa alayhi salam.
Okay, thank you very much. As we discussed in the aqaid about isma or infallibility, we said infallibility extends to the period before prophethood and also to the personal life after prophethood. It's not just limited to the delivery of the message. But we don't mean by this that the prophets have always done the best. No. They can do tarka awla. Sometimes they can do something which is good, but not the best. And also, even if they do something which is good, they always feel guilty. They always feel, embarrassed when they see how much Allah has done for them and what they have done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't think you find any prophet who would be pleased with his prayer, with his ibadah, with his services, with his life. Yes, they feel very, very blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They feel very fortunate, but they're never pleased with their performance. I don't think you find any prophet who says, look at my prayer, mashallah, what a prayer, I said right now. I wish, for example, everyone was praying like me. No. Even if they have the best of the prayer, the best of fasting, the best of whispering, the best of tabligh, they feel they have not done justice. And this is serious. Not that, they just, pretend. When they look at the way they served Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and compare it to what Allah deserves, they feel embarrassed. They feel guilty. They feel they are sinful. They feel they have not been grateful enough. This is totally unlike many people. They do little and they think they have done great things. But true servants of Allah, they do great things and they feel they have done very little. Because to be great is not something understandable by looking at what other people are doing. Yes, they are doing great things compared to us, but they don't compare what they do to what we do. They compare what they do with what Allah deserves, and therefore they feel guilty. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is quoted as saying, "O Allah, we have not worshipped you in the way that we have to worship you. ما عبدناك حق عبادتك ما عرفناك حق معرفتك." We have not worshipped you and served you in the way that is true serving, true worship. I have not known you in the way that's true knowing you, true knowledge of you. So, certainly Prophet Musa feels that he has done injustice to himself. And he's sincere about this. He's honest about this. But this doesn't mean that na'udhu billah, he committed a sin that if someone commits, then you cannot say your prayer behind him. Not such type of things. Not such type of, fiqhi sins, legal sins. But very, a special understanding. It's very expanded and broadened understanding of sin that includes even being in lower level of remembrance of Allah and not doing the best They consider all this as sins.
Thank you very much, Sheikhna Maulana. Sheikhna, we are towards the end, and I know that you have a commitment. I just want to tell you that we have received news that